What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check, and here it is, the April edition of Ask the Phoenix. I've told you guys 100 times. Since I started doing this, it's become the most, for me anyway, for me as the person producing the videos, it's the most anticipated part of the month, other than when I do the tackle panel for the pay-per-views with Kristen and Guapo and Connor and Steven. That's on a completely different level, but as far as what I produce solo for you guys, this is my favorite thing. If the fights on Wednesday night goes, if the fan interactions and answers goes, if I stop doing Raw reviews, if I stop previewing videos, if I stop reviewing pay-per-views, this will be the one thing that will carry on. I mean, I might take December off like I did last year, because I'm not going to lie, taking December off felt good. But other than that, this is the one thing that will maintain on this channel. For people that are watching that are new, and I want to send a quick shout out, there's legitimately about 15 groups on Facebook that just recently allowed me to share content on their forums, and not only did it with open arms, but welcomed me and gave me a very, very positive response on the last couple of things that I have posted. So to all of you, I don't have a list of the groups in front of me, which is really, really sad, because I probably should if I'm going to be thanking you. But those groups, you know who you are, very much appreciated. I'm pretty sure it will only do good things for this channel, and I hope you and all the people in your forums like what I have to offer. I think you'll come to notice that I'm not always the most popular person here, but try to have a good time. For those people that are watching this for the first time, the deal with this is the April Ask the Phoenix. This is the April Q&A. Put your comments down in the box below if you want your questions answered in the May Ask the Phoenix. I used to say that there was no limit, but then great guys like Zohan, for example, challenged themselves to give me 100 questions a month. So what I have done, I think I said it leading into this video, I think I said it one more month before that, the limit is 50. If you can limit yourself to 50 questions, that would be wonderful. But yeah, as I say, you go the month, for those of you guys that have been here with me for a while, just sort of chill for a second. If you're watching this for the first time, we go the month. You have from the beginning of the month till the 25th of the month. In that little window, in that little time frame between the 25th of the month and the end of the month is when the Q&A comes out. So you've got at least 25 days, sometimes on a month like today, more like 30 days to get me your questions. If you get them in past the due, or your question for some reason doesn't get answered, you know, save it for the next month if it's still relevant. Like somebody had asked me a question this month about Payback. It wouldn't make any sense to throw it on next month's Q&A because Payback will have passed by then. With WrestleMania, I made that late, so all the WrestleMania questions I sort of had to modify as I went. But yeah, thanks for coming along for the ride. Like I say, this series is my favorite as far as solo videos. So thank you to all of you that have answered questions, and thank you to the loyals, because all the names on here are some of the loyals. And I also have to thank the loyals because, yes, for those of you that know what I'm about to talk about, yes, I've seen the video. Yes, it's bullshit. No, he's not getting a response. And once again, thank you to the loyals. Going on to the questions. Start off with Weston Flores right off the top. Fuck, marry, or kill Stephanie McMahon, Dixie Carter, or Karen Jarrett. Can we get rid of Dixie and Karen, and can I marry and fuck Stephanie McMahon? Because for a woman that's had 4 kids, damn, she looks good. Phenom and Hitman 2 sent me a bunch, and sent me a bunch over a couple of days, so we're just gonna see how this goes. Will Sting retire after WrestleMania 32? I hope not. I hope they haven't given him all this pomp and circumstance to have 2 matches. He's gonna go in the Hall of Fame, we know that. That's a foregone conclusion. I hate to say this, because Undertaker is a legend in the WWE, but he's already at Undertaker status as the minute he retires, he's going into the Hall of Fame. We know that, so why jump the gun? And he still looks relatively good. We saw what he was doing in TNA, keeping up with the younger guys. We saw him have a good match with Triple H. Say what you want about how it was booked, whatever, but the match itself was great. Who has the record for the most questions submitted to an Ask the Phoenix in one episode? It has to be Zohan. Because I know there's more than once where he's submitted one message with 100 questions and then come back with more. I haven't gone back to look, I will be perfectly honest with that, but as for somebody that just goes above and beyond to, obviously there's others, and I'm sorry to those names that I'm forgetting because it's incredibly rude of me. Zohan was sort of the first guy to spearhead, let's fuck ton Spaz with questions, and it's fantastic. It's great. But if I was to hazard a guess, it would probably be the Zohan. Did Rollins rightfully win at Extreme Rules, though he used the RKO, which was banned? They kind of went with a heelish sort of half answer on Raw, where he called it the Seth KO. I was really hoping he would come out and sarcastically say, Diamond Dallas Page said that I could use the Diamond Cutter, like everybody was saying on YouTube. But realistically speaking, an RKO isn't an RKO unless Randy Orton does it. Take a look at a move like the Sharpshooter. Sharpshooter is the Sharpshooter if one of the Hearts does it. It's the Scorpion Deathlock if Sting does it. Full Nelson is a full Nelson unless Chris Masters does it. Chris Masters does it, it's the Master Lock. A punch in the face is a punch in the face. Big Show does it, it's a, weapon of mass destruction punch. Clothesline is a clothesline. If JBL does it, it's a clothesline from hell. The RKO, let's go back to its origin. The RKO is the Randall Keith Orton knockout. So if you're not Randall Keith Orton, it's not the RKO. So no. No. Anybody else using the stunner? It's a modified neck breaker of some sort. And if you wanted to go really lazy, you could do what everybody did before the match and just say Diamond Cutter. So no, I think he's fully within his rights. And when they picked their stipulations, he inflicted that stipulation on Randy Orton. If you remember the what was it? I think it was MVP when he was fighting Matt Hardy, when he created the Better Than Utopia match, where he said, all I need is a 1 count to beat you, but you have to pin me for a 5 count. It's very person specific. I think he says, I'm banning your RKO. Well, if Seth Rollins uses it, it's not Orton's RKO. There's a bunch of different angles you can use that. Obviously, the fuck you element is, hey, Randy Orton, I beat you with an RKO. But in all honesty, if you want to use, wrestling logic, Wrestling 101, look in the rule book, etc., it's not an RKO in all intents and purposes. Is Kane going to turn against the Authority? I hope they do it and get it over with on Raw. I don't. I'm with, I'm more positive about the product than most people, but I'm really going to groan if we get a pay-per-view and the main event is Seth Rollins versus Kane. I really am. What is your favorite year in WWE? Tricky question. Answer you're probably not going to like. I'm going to give you the answer that I give very similar to when people ask me what era I liked. I've been watching wrestling a long time. I'm not going to sit here and catalog how long I've been watching because I honestly don't know. I don't count the days, I don't count the years, etc. But if you look at years, if you look at eras, if you look at whatever, I liked Austin and Shawn Michaels. I liked Bret Hart. I liked Triple H. I liked The Rock. I liked the Hardys. I like Edge. I like Kurt Angle. I like Dolph Ziggler. I like Daniel Bryan, despite what people think. I like CM Punk. I like Dean Ambrose. There's things to like all the way through, and there's things to hate all the way through. Every era has its Santino Marella, has its Spirit Squad, has its, Adam Rose and Fandango, has its Doink the Clown, has its Mantar, has its Shockmaster. I don't like questions like this because I don't look at wrestling like I've told you guys that I'm horrible with dates at the best of times, but it's really not a way that I look at wrestling. You could ask me what particular pay-per-views I like. I like the Royal Rumble. I like Survivor Series in theory. I like the King of the Ring in theory. I like WrestleMania, obviously, because if you're watching WWE and you don't like WrestleMania, you've kind of got a few things confused. I like Money in the Bank. I don't particularly like TLC as a concept. I can do things like that where there's definite differences, where there's definite highs and lows, where it taps into what I like and what I don't like. But if you want to pick out any particular year in wrestling since I've started, I will go through and we will take a look at the events that happened in that year. There will be things that I like, things that I hated. There's no year that's come along where there's been nothing good. And there's no year that's come along that there's been nothing bad. So instead of being able to answer your question, I've spent a long-winded little ramble there explaining to you why I can't answer your question, but that's the best I can do at the moment. That's the first section of Phenom and Hitman questions. The second section of Phenom and Hitman questions. I love when you guys number the questions, and I'm not mocking anybody when I say this, but when you number the questions, and then you come back and give me more, because I got 16 to 21, and then I got 1 to 16. So I've got 16 twice, which means you got me 22 questions, but I've answered the last 4 first, and it's just funny. I don't mind. It's just when I look at it, when I do this, I don't write anything down. I don't, put it on a spreadsheet or a sheet. I literally have my video open. I could hit play. I could hit play if I really wanted to. Or whatever. He just needed to reach up. There you go. There's my video. And all I'm doing is looking at the comment section. I sort it by first to last. So the first person to ask me a question is going to be the last person to have their question answered. And it's all there. But when it's numbered, it's all out of order. And it kind of makes me smile a little bit. Because I'm a strange person and it doesn't take much to make me smile. I'm a positive guy. Will Chris Benoit ever be directly mentioned by WWE officials again? No. No. And, yes, you can say anybody that is a Chris Benoit fan, or at least a fan of his work, that wants to say that that's bullshit and wants to say that that's unfortunate. I can understand you to a point. But this is one of the times, and I know people accuse me of being a WWE kiss-ass and all this. This is one of those times where you really can't blame the WWE. You can talk about how great the guy's work was, whatever, but to do that, you have to talk about the man, and you have to talk about the man that killed his family. Especially when you're trying... Even if they weren't PG, even if they weren't trying to appeal to kids and parents and grandparents or whatever, even if it was still the Attitude Era, they wouldn't mention Chris Benoit again. They did the tribute to him the night he died, and Vince McMahon came on the next night to tell you why you would never hear about Chris Benoit again. Somebody asked me in one of the very first Ask the Phoenixes about Chris Benoit and how I felt about people wanting him in the Hall of Fame, and I give the same answer. I give the same answer now that I gave back then. Recognize the work, not the man. If there was a way, if there was a logical way to induct Chris Benoit's body of wrestling work into the Hall of Fame without inducting the man, I would say I would be all for it, but that it defies logic, so no. He did a body of work. He did a body of wrestling work in the ring that deserves recognition and deserves Hall of Fame, in my opinion. And that's not popular, I know that. But the man, no. Just no. Has Roman Reigns improved on the mic? He's improved on the mic. It's just the fact that he hasn't gone in a direction that people like. There's certain people out there that not a bad guy, but a badass. He's a big guy. He should be mowing through people. But he's not. He's had pretty damn good matches. When he came back from his injury, his first match was with Fandango, and people are like, why didn't you smoke him? Okay, he comes out for 2 seconds and has a match. What does that really prove? Now, I'm not saying you should put over Fandango by any stretch of the imagination, but he had a good, decent, amusing little match. Daniel Bryan at Fastlane was a fantastic match. I will give all due credit to Daniel Bryan. He held up his end of the bargain in that for sure. But it takes two to tango, and any other cliche you want to throw out there, he's gotten better. The same thing is on the mic. On the mic, it's just, he should be 1 or 2 words. He should be like Goldberg. He should be like Undertaker when he was silent. He should say a couple of things and just be badass and be tough and be ripping people's heads off. When instead, he's going out there and he's having fun, and he's getting comfortable in his own shoes. And when he sees somebody who's a fucking Nimrod, like I'm sure he perceives Seth Rollins to be, or Kane to be, or Triple H to be, etc., of course he's going to laugh them off. Of course he's going to mock them, make fun of them, whatever. Not everybody that makes fun of somebody, not everybody that has fun in the ring is John Cena. John Cena's goofy as fucking PG as he could possibly be. The comparisons between him and John Cena are absolutely ridiculous. There are similarities for sure, but they're not even in the same ballpark. I compare it, and ironically enough, people are going to think that this is funny because, they don't want Ryback to get pushed either. Ryback came out as a wrecking ball and ended up looking like a fucking lost caveman. When he lightened up, when he got in there with matches that he could have fun with, and he started being the goofy guy, and he just, he knocks the guy down, and he laughs, and he says, "You're fucking stupid. Why would you try to fight me?" It's better. Ryback is more fun now. Roman Reigns is fun. I love the idea of a guy, and this is something that, people are not going to agree with either. Look at a guy like Triple H. A guy like Triple H can go there and be funny as fuck and pull all the DX shit and, make a bunch of cock jokes, throw some glow sticks into the crowd, do all the immature shit with Shawn Michaels, and in the same night go into a Hell in a Cell and, rip somebody's face off, and you believe both sides. Now, I'm not saying by any stretch of the imagination that Roman Reigns is there right now, but what's to say he can't be that guy when he reaches his stride, when he has his high point. Obviously, his high point's not now. Obviously, I have no problem with him not winning the title at Mania. But why? Why stereotype him? He's got to be serious all the time. I'm gonna come kick your ass. You know? I'm gonna cock my fist and make it rain in this bitch. Whatever. It's all good. So yeah, I think he's improved. I don't think he's changed, but I think his promos have improved because he seems to be getting more comfortable. I'm not kissing his ass, just my opinion. Who do you think Seth Rollins will lose the championship to, and when? I think Seth Rollins will eventually lose the championship to Roman, but it won't be one-on-one. I think, whenever we get around to having the Shield triple threat, whenever we get around to, a multi-person match or an elimination chamber, Roman Reigns will have his moment then. Because his first title victory will not be his big defining moment. It'll be like, oh my god, he's got the title. Let's see him prove himself. It'll be one of those types of scenarios. Roman Reigns will win the title off Rollins. That's my prediction. If it's not Lesnar, which would make no sense. Are you happy they're bringing back King of the Ring? I'm happy that they brought back the concept. I like the King of the Ring. I've been saying for a while they should bring it back. In fact, I have a video coming up on Friday that's going to touch on that a little more. They really threw it together just because. To come off of a pay-per-view, to go into a pay-per-view pre-show where on the pre-show they're talking about bringing back King of the Ring tomorrow on Raw instead of the pay-per-view that's happening that night was a little off-putting to people that didn't get a chance to see the pay-per-view and don't have the network and didn't have the pre-show or don't give a shit about the pre-show, quite frankly. I know there's a lot of people like that. To just go into Monday Night Raw and be like, okay, we're doing the King of the Ring, and then to have the semifinals and the finals the very next night so that it's over in 48 hours seemed very thrown together. But on the other side of the coin, Adrian Neville got to put on an exhibition of what he can do. Brand new guy on the main roster, got a chance to show himself against two really tough guys in Sheamus and Barrett. Sheamus got to prolong his story with, why are we beeping? Why is this a thing? Sheamus got to prolong his new deal with Ziggler there, busted his face open nice and proper, made him look tough, made Ziggler look credible, and Wade Barrett has something new for his character to play with. R-Truth was there to play comedy foil, and that's what he does, and that's what he did. I liked it. I just thought it was very, very confined. I'm not saying necessarily bring back the King of the Ring pay-per-view per se, but I'm saying if you get to Payback or if you get to Battleground or whatever, and you want to have a couple weeks of Raws, doing the tournament, and have the last 3 or 4 matches of the tournament on that pay-per-view, I think it could be a great little thing. I think it could be a building block. It could be one of those things, as I've always said this about the King of the Ring. The King of the Ring should be the mid-year equivalent of the Royal Rumble. Royal Rumble builds to WrestleMania. King of the Ring should build to SummerSlam. That's just my personal opinion. Take it for what you will. Do you think WWE will strip Daniel Bryan of the belt since he will be out for an extended period of time? He should. And that's not any hate on Daniel Bryan. I'd say it about anybody. I said it about Punk when he was out for a while and they had to change main events around into tag matches and all that sort of thing. They're just starting to put some effort and some stock into their mid-card titles. The last thing that belt's momentum needs is just to be sitting around the waist of somebody that can't compete. I'm not saying Daniel Bryan doesn't deserve to be Intercontinental Champion. I'm not saying it doesn't suck 2 years in a row to come off big moments at WrestleMania and lose your title a month later. I'm not saying that. I understand that. I'm sympathetic to that. But whether or not Daniel Bryan ever steps in the ring again, the Intercontinental Championship needs to prevail. So have a tournament, have a mini tournament. They could have incorporated this into the King of the Ring thing, but they didn't. Have a battle royal if you want to be lazy. Get the belt on somebody that can keep it going. Daniel Bryan comes back. He's got a ready-made story. I never lost that title. Let me get it back. You need to see the belt. If you don't see the belt for months at a time, the belt is dead. It's a thing. Will Rusev ever beat John Cena? Well, he beat him at Fastlane, albeit by scheming means, but he's a heel, so that's going to happen. I don't know. They're not going to keep the title on Cena forever. Somebody's going to beat him for it. Will it be Rusev? I don't know. I think it's really, really bullshit that everybody's gauge of whether or not WWE thinks anything of Rusev is whether he's allowed to beat Cena or not. There's a lot of people that haven't beaten Cena. In the past little while, people that have actually beaten Cena, Bray Wyatt, Rusev by disqualification, Dolph Ziggler, Daniel Bryan, Brock Lesnar, whatever. If you think Rusev is on the same level as Brock Lesnar, if you think Rusev is on the same level as Ziggler, if you think Rusev is on the same level as Daniel Bryan or The Rock, or then cool, advocate for him to win. I think the longer this feud goes, the longer Rusev gets to sit in the, as I've said before, I said it in my Extreme Rules thought, the longer Rusev gets to sit in John Cena's spotlight, the better for him. The longer he's fighting Cena, and people are talking about him facing Cena, and the Cena haters are talking about how much bullshit it is that he hasn't been able to beat Cena, the more people are talking about Rusev. If Rusev goes and beats a nobody, then it's like, okay, Rusev's just gone back to steamrolling jobbers. That's fine, that's wonderful. But if he's fighting John Cena, everybody will suddenly talk about how good Rusev is, because it's bullshit that John Cena keeps beating him. Why are they beating him? Why is John Cena beating him? He's so good. He's so this. He's so that. That keeps people being pissed off about John Cena is going to work in Rusev's favor in the long run, is it not? Oh, yes. With proper build-up, do you want to see Cena versus Hogan? You got to be buddies with James, don't you? Like, my buddy Fear the Spear 1990, love the guy to death. He's one of the biggest supporters of this channel. He's been pushing for Cena versus Hogan for as long as I've known him. A couple of other things, Batista versus Ryback and such. No. Just no. And there's another fantasy match we're going to talk about later on. I have skimmed these questions slightly, so there's another match that somebody else is going to ask me about that I don't want to see either. I don't want to see Cena versus Hogan. I don't. If you want to do the passing of the torch, Hogan passed the torch to The Rock, and The Rock passed that torch to Cena already. There's no value to it. And I know people are going to look at me like I'm crazy when I say that. Oh my god, John Cena is the biggest name in the company right now. Hulk Hogan's the biggest name in the company of all time. The marquee alone will sell. The marquee will sell the pay-per-views and all that. But a marquee is a sign. You don't peel a sign off of the framework, toss it in the ring. The marquee isn't the one that has to do the match. Friggin' Hulk Hogan is. Do we remember Sting versus Hogan in TNA, where they had to do the whole match really, really fucked up because Hogan couldn't fall down? Sting, who uses the Scorpion Deathlock, couldn't knock Hogan down because he couldn't. No. Just all of my no. All of it. All of it. Do you think Bret Hart's wrestling career came to an end too early? Well, he came to an end because he had a stroke because of a botched spear. So, regardless of what he would have done afterwards, he didn't end on his own terms. He had the one match against Vince McMahon at WrestleMania, but he never really got a closure match in WWE. He did, some NWO bullshit in WCW. Yeah, of course it ended too early. For sure. I don't know what he'd be doing now. I don't know if he hadn't had the stroke and been injured and had to retire before, I don't know that he'd still be wrestling now. I don't know what he would have done in his career going forward. But anybody whose career ends not on their own terms ended too early, because it just did. In your opinion, what is the most feel-good moment in WWE history? Well, you mentioned Bret Hart. Bret Hart's return to Raw and his on-screen reconciliation with Shawn Michaels. Oh, sorry guys, my nose is doing the thing, my chair is doing the thing. His on-screen reconciliation with Shawn Michaels has to be way up there. Although Benoit is not to be talked about now. At the end of WrestleMania, when he and Eddie Guerrero stood in the ring side by side with both of their championships, sort of had that "we've arrived" moment. That was great. When Sami Zayn won the NXT title and he got to stand arm in arm with his buddy Kevin Owens, who had just had his first match, that was a pretty feel-good moment, I'm not gonna lie. When Jeff Hardy finally won the WWE Championship, that was a great moment. What's the most tragic moment in WWE history? The Benoit thing. It has to be. I mean, other people have died. Other people have died tragically. The most shocking one would be Owen Hart. But as far as the ripple effect through the entire pro wrestling business, it has to be the Benoit thing. And I'm not saying just the loss of life that day, but everything has changed. we're a PG product. We don't do headshots anymore. We're more cognizant of concussions. An entire chunk of wrestling history got erased that night. It needed to be, but there's parts of wrestling history that just don't exist anymore because of that. It's bad. Is there any wrestler who didn't make it to the main event that should have? There's a bunch. I mean, Jeff Hardy won the WWE title, but he was never treated like a proper main eventer. He really wasn't. And now that's just my own bias coming through, and I'll admit that. Jeff Hardy's my boy. Same thing could be said for The Miz. Miz does not get nearly the credit he deserves. He is one of the most hateable guys on the roster. You can't put somebody against The Miz and have him not get cheered at least a little bit. The current popularity of Damien Sandow is a pure testament to that. Will SmackDown ever be as good as it once was? I think it's making strides right now. The matches that they've had, there was a gauntlet, there was a Intercontinental, what was it? There was an Intercontinental Contenders Battle Royal right before WrestleMania that was great. There was a tag team gauntlet match, Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns taking on the entire, basically the entire tag team division, ending with Big Show and Kane, obviously, right before their match at Fastlane, which was good. A lot of Bray Wyatt promo time is happening on SmackDown, if for those of you that don't know that. SmackDown being on a Wednesday night, as most of you guys know, I have my series, the fights on Wednesday night. I'm going to be finishing this video, and then I'm going to be TiVoing SmackDown, because SmackDown's actually happening right now. Can SmackDown get better? It is. It's getting better right now. What veterans could WWE use to help properly build the tag team division? Not in the ring, but have people to sit in and advise, like, I mean, you're already doing stuff with Edge and Christian. Have them sit in. Have them, at least if you can't, they can't obviously compete in the ring, so, speaking about somebody like Edge, but the sit-down time and the talk time with the new talent. I've heard rumors about Tough Enough, that because WWE is sort of at odds with Stone Cold Steve Austin right now, that it's going to be hosted by Chris Jericho, and that the coaches are going to be Edge, Christian, and Taz. If that's the case, I'm kind of excited about the tag team division going, or the Tough Enough, more than I would have been, because the thing that they did with Austin a couple years ago, it was all right, but it was kind of like, how can I say this? Anybody that watches, American Idol and the douchebag judge that's on there and tells everybody off, or anybody that watches like one of the Chef Ramsay shows where all he really does is tell them how much they suck, it kind of felt like they put Steve Austin in that role on Tough Enough, because you didn't get a compliment from Austin very often. And I'm not saying that he should kiss their ass by any stretch of the imagination, but he really, for what was supposed to be like a training show, he seemed like he was very much still in character, and I don't think that helped the credibility of the show. You got guys in there like Edge, Christian, Taz is the biggest rumor because he just got let go from TNA. Jericho to host it. I mean, we already see that Jericho's doing the live shows once a month on the network. He's doing comedy shows on Comedy Central online. He's got his podcast, which is fucking phenomenal. I'm sure, although he may just be hosting, that he will have some impact on the coaching as well, because you got a well of knowledge there. You got a well of Canadian wrestling knowledge and one guy from New York. Could be great. Those guys right there, actually, because you don't want to go to somebody, and I mean this with all due respect, you don't want to go to somebody like Jake the Snake or Scott Hall, or I don't want to bring up too many names because I don't want to seem disrespectful. You want people that have been in the company recently enough to know that the business has changed. You don't want somebody to say, okay, this is what I have to teach you, but it's not like what I did back in the day. You need a teacher that's still somewhat current. You need a teacher that can still go. Christian, although he's never been a main eventer, he's never been a particularly exciting guy in the WWE, he's a great mechanic in the ring, and just to get in there with some young talent would be great. Edge obviously can't do that. Taz, the physical condition he's in, I don't know whether he can do that or not, but they can advise. They can if you hear Taz's podcast and he gives his running commentary on, how things used to be back in the day, but still understanding how the business has changed there's a good translator in somebody like Taz. There's a good coworker, punching bag in somebody like Christian. There's a great tag team and great character mind in somebody like Edge, and there's a great overall in-ring, overall charisma, promos, character, the whole bit with somebody like Jericho. So that's the rumor that's floating around right now, and I can't think of 3 or 4 any better guys to do it than that. Lost my place. What big matches do you see happening at SummerSlam? If we don't get Lesnar back by then, I hope we get the Shield triple threat there. And I hope it's the main event. Other rumors that I've heard, and these will drive everybody nuts, I've heard that there may be a tag team match. I've heard that we may get Roman and The Rock versus Seth Rollins and Triple H as a precursor for Rock and Triple H next year at WrestleMania. And if that happens, I don't even care. You can come up to me with all the logical reasons or the storyline loops as to why it shouldn't happen. Sometimes you just have to not care. If that happens, it'll be fucking fantastic. How do you feel about the Bellas leaving the WWE? I haven't heard that they have, and I'm not really going to react to that until I have heard something. Because this, I'm not going to lie, this question in this Q&A portion right here is the first I've ever heard of that. I hope it's not true, because along with Paige, they're the 3 main divas on the roster right now. We get whatever the hell they're doing with Naomi. If she becomes the face of the WWE or the WWE Divas division, I don't know what to say to that. Will Sting retire after his presumed match with Undertaker and Triple H at WrestleMania 32? Or sorry, will Sting retire after his presumed match with the Undertaker at WrestleMania 32? Now, we've already said, will he retire after WrestleMania 32? I don't know. I hope he sticks around longer. The other half of that, though, and I have to say this, and I'm going to give the same explanation that I've given all the way along. I don't want to see Sting versus The Undertaker. I know, sacrilege, right? But I will say it again. If you go back through my videos, I've said this a bunch of times. I don't mean to be repetitive. I do know that I'm running out of breath and need a drink from time to time. But here it is. I watched WCW. I watched WCW when Sting was taking on the NWO. On the other side of the coin, you had Undertaker Wrecking Shop and WWE. They're the 2 dark demon characters of the 2 respective companies. Somebody said to somebody, at some point, wouldn't it be great if you had Sting versus The Undertaker? And that idea flashed through everybody's minds 15 years ago. Each and every one of us that watched both companies took a snapshot in our heads at that particular moment of what we thought Sting versus Undertaker would look like. And we have held that snapshot in our minds for 15 years. Now here's the thing. 15 years have passed. That snapshot in your mind is great. It's wonderful. It's brimming with endless possibilities. The problem being, whatever they do at WrestleMania 32, if this match happens, will not match up to that snapshot. And no matter what they do, they could go on, and Undertaker's doing great for his age. Sting is doing great for his age. They're great storytellers. They could do great things creatively. WWE loves to throw all their creative muscle behind whatever The Undertaker does at WrestleMania, and I understand all of that. But eventually, the smoke clears, the pyro stops, the fire goes out, the cameras, or sorry, the videos stop rolling, the sound effects stop, the lightning stops striking. The story stops being told, and there has to be a match. And that match will be depressing as fuck, guys. I hate to say that. As a wrestling fan, it breaks my heart to say that, but you gotta believe that. You can't go into WrestleMania 32 if this match happens thinking that snapshot is going to be realized, because it's just not. And it sounds like I'm being a downer. It sounds like I'm being incredibly pessimistic. If I'm rubbing anybody the wrong way by saying that, I truly do apologize, but it's just the way it is. The Zohan makes me a liar because after I talked about him giving hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of questions, he gives me 2. Thoughts on Kelly Kelly? All right to look at. She got Moment of the Year one year by getting suplexed by Beth Phoenix. So Kelly Kelly's best thing she did all year was take a bump. I don't know. I don't know why she was the face of the Divas division for so long. She wasn't anything special. Oh, excuse me, guys. Not to be incredibly morbid, but in what year do you think Vince McMahon will die? Damn. I don't know when he's going to die. I don't think Vince McMahon is human. I think Vince McMahon's at least half cyborg, and the other half was rebuilt by Schwarzenegger this year at WrestleMania. But in all seriousness, I don't know when Vince McMahon is going to die. I don't wish death on the man. I'm not like everybody else that thinks that the WWE is magically going to get better when Vince is dead, because that's morbid and vulgar. It really, really is. You're all hinging whether or not WWE is good. And I'm not saying, Zohan, understand, buddy, I'm not saying this about you. But the more negative portion of the YWC that thinks that WWE will be better as soon as Vince is gone, you're hinging your entertainment on a real-life person dying. Stop and think about that for a second. Vince has said it, and a lot of other people that have worked closely with Vince have said it, is the day that Vince does die, he will die in his office and he'll put his head down on his desk. And as morbid as that is, as you say, on one side of the coin, on the other side of the coin, that is the biggest statement he could possibly give on his dedication to the business. You can question Vince McMahon, whether he's sane or not, whether he's whether he's a genius or a madman, whether he's in touch or out of touch. You cannot question his devotion to his creation. You really, really can't. Laurel Lewis says, I hope I'm not too late, man, but here you go. And these were sent in 4 days ago, so you had plenty of time. Once Samoa Joe comes to NXT, would you like to have him feud with Kevin Owens right out of the gate? That's a two-sided question, because I want to see that match for sure. If he comes in and he fights with Kevin Owens right away, I hope Kevin Owens isn't the champion at the time, is what I'll say to that. And it sounds like I'm saying that Joe doesn't deserve it. He definitely does. But it's the case of, you know, everybody from NXT should fight John Cena on their first night. If you fight John Cena's the champion at the time, you beat John Cena for the championship at WrestleMania in your debut match, what do you do on day 2? I want to see Samoa Joe come in and show what he can do. Put him in there with some smaller... It sounds like I'm giving him a Ryback build, and if that's the case, if that's the way you choose to interpret it, fine. Put him in there with some decent guys that'll make him look great, that'll emphasize what he does, because what he does in the ring is fucking phenomenal. Build him up to... for a month or two, get to the next NXT pay-per-view, have him have a sort of an exhibition with Kevin Owens, and let those two destroy each other. How can I say this? When the Hardys and Edge and Christian were both emerging as tag teams in the WWE, they made each other in the Terry Invitational ladder match. Take this, for anybody that didn't watch Samoa Joe in TNA or ROH, for anybody that didn't watch Kevin Steen in ROH, like me, for whom these two guys will still be relatively new, let them build each other. They're the perfect opponents for each other. Do it slowly. Have it be slow burn. Have it start off as respect. You know, what we see right now, what we saw on NXT tonight, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens making loose reference to where they fought in other places and whatever. Let Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe do the same thing. As I say, I haven't watched a scrap of ROH, but I know they're both from ROH. I'm sure they crossed I'm sure Kevin Steen and whatever Samoa Joe's name was in ROH, I'm sure they crossed paths at some point, and somebody down in the box below can tell me how great or not great that was, but play off that history. The one thing NXT does that WWE doesn't, even though they're the same company, and people don't get that, but the one thing NXT does really great is they acknowledge the history that people have outside of NXT, and I think that's fucking wonderful. There's a million storytelling opportunities, but, as I say, I would like him to fight with Kevin Owens. I would like them to build to his first major feud being with Kevin Owens, but I hope that Kevin Owens isn't the champion. Because if he goes and he fights the champion Kevin Owens right away, that feels like he's been a bit hot-shotted. And as much as I respect Samoa Joe and everything I saw from him in TNA, and he is spectacular. Let me say again, don't get me wrong. I think that has a spectacular talent, but I have to stick to what I've said all along. It's what I've said about NXT guys that go to WWE. Whatever you did before doesn't matter. When you arrive, it's your day one. You start on day one. I mean, obviously, unless you're fucking Goldberg or Jericho or something. But yeah, there's obvious exceptions to that. But Samoa Joe, when you get him to NXT, or even if you debut him on the main roster, it's his day one. I don't know what to say. Have something like they really missed the stick with Hideo Itami in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal at WrestleMania, because they could have had a moment. I'm not saying give him the win for sure, because again, that would have been a hot shot. Have him have a moment in the match where he just sort of kicks the head off everybody in the ring. If you have a moment with Samoa Joe, say at next year's Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, where he's just steamrolling bitches and he only gets eliminated because one person takes advantage of that momentum, you make him. Sure, it's on the pre-show at WrestleMania, but it's fucking WrestleMania. Like, it is what it is. Give him big things. It's like Wade Barrett not winning the Intercontinental Championship but becoming King of the Ring. Give him something, a little something for his character to play with, and then send him on to larger accomplishments. That was a really long ramble and really good question, and I really, really want to see those guys fight. I'm not going to lie. Have you heard about Lana eventually stepping out of the ring, and if she does, who would you like her to feud with? I've just recently actually read something on No DQ where they want to pull her away from Rusev, have her admit that she's not Russian, that she is American, that it was all a farce to get her to the WWE. They want, her name's like Christina Joe, or something to that effect. They want to name her CJ, because CJ was the name of Pamela Anderson's character on Baywatch, and they want to make her a buxom American, busty blonde chick like Baywatch. As much as I would love to see Lana in Baywatch attire, I really, really would. I really hope they don't go that cliche. If they're starting to mirror their stuff off Baywatch, then I will go along with some of the people that talk about WWE being a bit out of date. I'm a big fan of Naomi, and I understand you don't like her. What would you do to improve her? I wouldn't have given her a title shot out of nowhere. I wouldn't have taken a talent that has come out of nowhere and given her the goofy ass gimmick that she's got going on now. People all the time complain about racism in the WWE, and sometimes they're right and sometimes they're just ridiculously exaggerating. But the fact that she's all of a sudden like trying to talk slang and trying to talk like she's right out the hood when like a month ago she was dancing to funk music, none of these cliche overdone things. The shoes. Can we talk about the shoes? I'm just saying. Just when she came out at Extreme Rules, she looked like she was a combination of so many things. The electronic music that they've got her coming out to now sucks. The light-up shoes are horrible. Basically, she looks like she ripped off her ring attire from either Natalya or Paige. She came out with the Sasha Banks style sunglasses, and the promos are just bad. Like, she's trying so hard to be a bitch now that her promos are just like, nah, y'all, I'm gonna be a bitch now. I would have had it be a lot more gradual. I would have gone not so cliche. I would have had her have the beatdown and then maybe be questioning herself. Have this, it's her first real break in character, her first real break into, like, violently outpouring her frustration, whatever. I would have had her question that. I would have had her, go in a mentality where, she would go into a match like typical. Why? Really? Why? Just, there we go. Where she would come into the match all friendly and having fun and whatever. At some point in the match, she would snap and get the win. And then she would realize that being an aggressive, like, ground and pound bitch is helping her get the win. And then she would develop into that heel character, and that steamroller effect would take her to a title. Go that way. Take out the cliches. Stop throwing your fat ass at people and calling it a finishing maneuver. You're not your father-in-law. I had no reason to care, and if possible, they sent it into the negative with the heel turn that they gave her. Especially when the other option is Paige, and I have so many reasons to care about Paige, and I've listed those in other videos, so I'm not really going to get into that. Do people overrate AJ Lee? I don't think you can overrate AJ Lee as far as what she did for the Divas division. She broke the Barbie doll mold for sure. She was the one coming out in, jeans and video game t-shirts and sneakers and showing that it was cool to be a nerd, and you didn't have to have like triple Z fucking tits to get it done in the ring. Came out on the mic, showed her diversity. She wasn't a main eventer per se, but she was the key in John Cena storylines, Daniel Bryan storylines, CM Punk storylines, Kane storylines. She was the general manager of Raw. As far as a character and as far as balancing all those different stories and being crazy and being phenomenal in the ring with her, particularly her feuds with Paige and her feud with Caitlyn. as well as she helped. Working with her made the Bellas better. I say that unequivocally. So the great feud she had with both Bellas and Paige and Caitlyn alone are some of the best wrestling the women's division in WWE has seen in a long, long time. She's one of the few that got a lot of mic time. She dropped the pipe bombshell, etc. I don't think you can overrate AJ Lee. And am I kissing her ass a little bit? Yes, because the Divas division would not be where it is right now without AJ Lee coming in, doing what she did, and doing it as well as she did. Because she got a lot of shit gimmicks. She married Daniel Bryan. She was stalking CM Punk. She was the general manager that nobody took seriously, and all this shit. And they made, let's be honest, at some points they made her out to be a fucking slut as well as a psycho, and she maintained all that. She maintained her fan base. Her fan base grew with how well she adapted to all these new things. Comparison I will give you, honestly, and this probably seems out of left field, but think about somebody like Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes has been given some of the shittiest gimmicks imaginable, but he's spun each and every one of them into gold. No pun intended. AJ Lee did the same thing, and despite how bad the gimmicks actually were, she made them work, she made them watchable, she made them entertaining and interesting, and we appreciated her work on that. She succeeded in some great storylines, and she succeeded despite of some horrible storylines. Yeah, if she hadn't left, Naomi would not have gotten a chance, and she wouldn't have deserved it. Oh, yes. Should an NXT take the U.S. title? Should an NXT guy take the title, U.S. title off of John Cena to give him a good starting point? That's not going to happen. It's not. There's another question similar to that later on, and I have something else to say, but whatever. Should Dean Ambrose win Money in the Bank this year? Now, to get what I want at WrestleMania next year, a lot of things have to happen that most people don't want to happen. A, Rollins has to hold the title all year. B, Ambrose has to win Money in the Bank. C, Rollins has to repeat at the Royal Rumble. Reigns has to repeat at the Royal Rumble, which most people would cry about a lot. What I would love to see is Rollins holds the title, he defeats whoever he defeats at the Royal Rumble, comes out the next night on Raw, friggin' Ambrose and Reigns, come from opposite it. One guy comes down the ramp, one guy comes down from the crowd, probably Reigns. Comes down, says, I won the Rumble, you get to deal with me at WrestleMania again. And Ambrose comes out and says, hey, remember what you did at WrestleMania last year? Well, look what I've got. And I'm not going to be a bitch like you, or I'm going to let you know 2 months in advance that this is going to be a triple threat match. And that's how it goes. And yes, one piece of that would be Dean Ambrose winning the Money in the Bank. Who should Bray Wyatt feud with next? I want to see Bray Wyatt feud with Roman Reigns, to be quite honest with you. I think in their respective places, with Roman Reigns being pushed too much, according to most people, and Bray Wyatt being pushed not enough, according to some people, they could play off of each other very, very well. Roman Reigns would stay the face, Bray Wyatt would stay the heel in story. As far as the crowd goes, Bray Wyatt would stay the face, Roman Reigns would stay heel. That dynamic would just keep smashing into itself, and smashing into itself, and smashing into itself. You put that match in a city like Philly, in a city like Chicago, in a city like New York. Hell, make me happy. Put that match in a city like Toronto. Just saying. It could be good fucking times. Do you see Ryback becoming champion in the future? I'm a big fan of Ryback. Probably not. I'm just saying. Why are people still shitting on the Bellas? Because it's popular. And they didn't come from NXT. That's really it. They came in, they were initially kind of Barbie doll-ish. They played off on the twins gimmick a lot. Then Nikki got her massive knockers, and they can't really do that anymore. But they've developed different wrestling styles for sure. I don't even say this in a sarcastic way, but you can tell which one of them's married to who. Nikki, as far as a diva can be, is the power wrestler. She's the one that, has a move very similar to the friggin' Attitude Adjustment, let's be real. Nikki's got a couple of submission moves and a couple of high-impact striking moves. Brie does, and she's married to Daniel Bryan. And it's a thing. And they've not only developed as wrestlers, but they've developed away from each other. They've stayed together. They've stayed as a team. They're sisters bound at the hip, and they're still doing their sister twin thing. But they're not carbon copies of each other anymore, and it's fucking fantastic. Other people overlook that. Other people say, well, you didn't come from ROH or PWG or CZW or NXT, then you suck and meh. And because here's the thing. Total Divas is a shit show. I watched a little bit of the first season just for a laugh. Many of you remember one of my former co-hosts from the No Holds Barred show, Steffi Sunshine. We watched most of the first season of Total Divas just for a laugh, just because it's fucking ridiculous. And other than, sorry, my voice is cracking a little bit. Other than the whole like Tyson Kidd, Natalia stuff, not a lot of Total Divas comes over onto the main roster anymore. So the fact that they're on Total Divas, the fact that they are doing something else off of Raw, doesn't affect what they're doing on the show anymore. But people still act like it does. I don't know. It's one of those things. More than anything, and I'm going to end this ramble. I'm rambling a lot in this, ridiculous o'clock and all that sort of thing. It's really one of those things where when they came in, it was decided that we weren't supposed to like them, and that's not allowed to change, and that's crap because they've improved. Are they like the next coming of Trish and Lita? No, absolutely not. I'm not saying that. Do they deserve to win over people like Paige and over people like AJ? No. Obviously not. I'm not saying that. If Caitlyn was still there, would I want them beating Caitlyn all over the shop? No, absolutely not. But to say that they are, and I got into a little bit of a debate with Kristen on the tackle panel thing before Extreme Rules about this. You can't say that the Bellas are the same now as when they came in. I mean, just look at Nikki's tits. Anyways. Oh, much too much time spent on that. If Trish and Lita each came back for one more match on the current roster, who would be a good opponent for each of them? I would say toss Trish in a triple threat match with the Bellas, toss Lita in a triple threat match with, I don't know, I guess I would say Paige and Becky Lynch. Actually, Lita versus Becky Lynch. There's your punker versus punker match. I don't know. That's all for Laurel Lewis. Logan Claiborne says, should Ambrose at some point be WWE champion? Absolutely. Unequivocally. Dean Ambrose should at least have had a couple of world title matches by now. What do you think of Heyman helping screw over Lesnar at SummerSlam and joining Rollins and the Authority? I wouldn't have Heyman join the Authority just because, as far as on the mic and as far as personalities go, Triple H and Heyman are such strong characters individually that I think they would cancel each other out, which is really, really unfortunate. Kind of like a Heyman-Punk situation. I would love to see what Cesaro did after WrestleMania 30. I would love to see Rollins ditch the Authority and tell them to go fuck off and be managed by Heyman instead. I think that would be fantastic. Because Rollins, although he's pretty damn good on the mic, he does falter sometimes. And even if he were to falter on the mic, Heyman on the other mic could pick it up and make something gold out of it. All kinds of good. I asked you a question earlier in the year about the Bullet Club and if you thought they would fit in the WWE. Have you watched any of the Bullet Club stuff yet? I really haven't. I'm not going to lie. I've gotten a lot into doing more on this channel more than once a week, between Raw reviews and this Q&A series and the fan interactions and answers and tackle and the fights on Wednesday night and any other topical videos that I do. I'm digesting a lot of WWE content, which has been life, I'm not going to lie, so I really haven't branched far beyond that. I appreciate the suggestion, and if you have something specific that you think I should check out, like a specific match or a specific moment or whatever, I'm always down for, add me on Facebook, send me a link, send me a video, or put it down in the box below here and I'll check it out. I'll give you my thoughts on what I see, on what you show me. I can't guarantee I'll be going and checking out other feds. And that's not because those other feds aren't great. I'm sure they are. You talk about ROH gathering up a lot of steam, and as I say, I know there's a lot of cool things happening in Japan right now. I'm sure they're fantastic, but as a fan, my bread and butter's always been WWE. I follow TNA only because, some of the guys that I love are there now. And TNA is literally a hobby at this point. If I'm home on a Friday, I watch Impact. If I'm not, I don't feel any loss. So WWE is what I'm doing. I don't say that in any way to shoot you down either, man. I like I say, I appreciate the suggestion, and trying to broaden your boy Spaz Phoenix's mind a little bit. I get that. That's cool. Hope it's working for you. I hope one of these feds springs up and can compete with WWE, because WWE needs a little bit of a poke. But yeah, anytime, add me on Facebook. My stuff's always in the box below. You want me to see a specific video? Cool, send it my way. I'll give you my 2 cents on it. Thank you for that. Should Rollins versus Lesnar, if we get it, be more than a one-match feud? I don't want Lesnar in the title picture. I want Lesnar to get his rematch and have Seth Rollins go over, probably in some schemy, heely means. But after that, I want Lesnar to fight with somebody else. I really do. If he wants to go and continue his feud with Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns wants to have sort of a prove-it match down the line with Brock Lesnar, cool. I don't want Brock Lesnar near the title. It's so great seeing the title back on Raw every week. Even he's not defending it, obviously. He's being a cowardly heel, obviously, but there's something to be said for the champion and the championship being on the show every week. And to have it now shows how much not having it hurt before, in my humble opinion. Brock Lesnar's a spectacle with or without a belt. Let's be real. Brock Lesnar is one of those guys like Triple H, like The Rock, like John Cena, like Randy Orton, realistically at this point, who are kind of above the title. He was helping the title out, not the other way around. So, yeah, if they have their rematch at SummerSlam, cool. I hope Rollins goes over and Brock Lesnar can feud with somebody else, so that way when he leaves, he doesn't take the title with him. Would you like to see Beer Money reunite and come to WWE? I may be biased, but I'm a huge Beer Money Inc. fan, but I feel like they would both be huge success in WWE, either as a team or as singles, given the right platform. There's no reason that both of those guys shouldn't be megastars in WWE already. What I would do, honestly, and I've thought about this quite a bit for a couple different tag teams, but I think it would really work with Beer Money, especially for people that know Beer Money from TNA and know the tumultuous history and whatever. Play some videos, and I mean play some videos for a couple of months, hyping up this brand new team. You're obviously not going to call them Beer Money because it's PG. It'd probably be like Apple Juice Money or some bullshit. But play some videos, and I mean for months, hyping up this team for their great debut, whatever. Have them lose their debut match because of one bit of miscommunication. Have these two brand new guys that have been hyped up as a team for months and months and months falter in their debut match, beat the crap out of each other, have them immediately feud and build themselves up, like each one build the other one, as a way of introducing them both to the roster. No, I know a lot of people will think that's crazy. I know a lot of people will think it's a big swerve, like when we were supposed to get Monster Brodus Clay and we got the Funkasaurus. But it's something that, if done properly, especially with those two guys, and especially, like I said before, with Kevin Owens and El Generico and Samoa Joe and all that, for people that know the history of Beer Money, they can sit back and say, yeah, look at that. They're acknowledging the history. We've seen TNA. We've seen these guys team up and then destroy each other, and then team up and then destroy each other. So for the people that know them, they'll feel familiar. For the people that don't know them, they'll feel new. You satiate everybody, and it'll be fucking wonderful. Weston Flores says, is Beth Phoenix the most underrated women's wrestler of all time? Not by a long shot. Should WWE have an off-season? No. WWE's stories keep going and keep their momentum because they don't stop. Triple H even said, you can have the best match in the world at WrestleMania. You still got to strap your boots back on and go to Raw the next night. And if you break that, I don't know. I see it going horribly if they try to do something like that. Can the Eagles kiss the Super Bowl chances goodbye since they signed over Tim Tebow? I don't watch a scrap of football, so I really can't answer that. I'm sorry. All I know about Tim Tebow is he's the guy that does this, and I'm not even sure about that. Somebody want to confirm that down in the box below. That'd be great. What do you think of the Kelly expose thing? I think it was cool. I think if we weren't PG, it would be happening on the main roster right now, and Kelly might not have left. Just saying. What are your favorite kid shows of all time, and what do you think of shows like Jimmy Neutron and Fairly Odd Parents? Never watched Jimmy Neutron or Fairly Odd Parents. What I am doing right now, and Inner Nerd coming out, I have Netflix, along with the WWE Network, because, I don't watch enough TV in the week. On Netflix, I'm watching a lot of cool shit. I'm watching Orange is the New Black, because Laura Prepon, just saying. I'm watching House of Cards. I'm watching The X-Files, actually. The old school X-Files is fucking great. And movies here and there, whatever. But the other thing I'm getting into right now, I'm rewatching Batman the Animated Series, and I'm rewatching the original Power Rangers. Half because it's fun, half because I can laugh at myself for thinking it was the greatest thing ever when I was a kid. I don't know, kids shows, watched Looney Tunes back in the day, Animaniacs back in the day. I watched the Smoggies, and now being a wrestling fan, I can look at it kind of a different way. Smoggies is the only cartoon I can think of from my entire childhood where the name of the show was named after the bad guys. So named after the heels. So think of the Smoggies as like the one time that WCW did an NWO pay-per-view instead of, I think it was NWO Sold Out 12 or 13 years ago. Or no, more than that now. 97 or 98, I think, when they had the actual NWO pay-per-view. Smoggies, I remember always thinking that was funny. It was just like, the show was named after the bad guys. That doesn't make any sense, but it's kind of badass. Kids shows. I never watched any of the stuff on, like, YTV, like all the Nickelodeon shit. I watched wrestling when I was a kid. I watched wrestling on Saturday mornings. But, you know, it wasn't Saturday Morning Slam, but, you know, some of the wrestlers were a bit cartoony. Can we get a yes, yes, yes chant? Sure, because the guy's out injured and because I'm not a heartless asshole. Yes! 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 New Intercontinental Champion, yes! Yes! Maybe I am a dick. Abel Herrera, my buddy from Puitov, which is down on the box below as well. One of the best groups on Facebook for wrestling. Who do you think will win Money in the Bank this year, and who do you want to win Money in the Bank this year? I think it will be Ambrose, as I discussed up above, and I want it to be Ambrose. Would you be in favor of Bubba Ray Dudley having a singles run in the WWE? If so, how would you book him? If Bubba Ray Dudley came in right now as Bully Ray, as he was in TNA, I would have him... I wouldn't have him go for the title. Eventually, I'd throw him into the title picture just because he does deserve one title run. Or at least a shot. I would use him in the mid-card as the brawler. And I don't mean a brawler like Barrett or Sheamus or whatever, because they are still very much of the John Cena mold. I would use Bully Ray, and I'm going to say Bully Ray so that you know what incarnation of him and how I want him to act. I would use him to build feuds and make look great guys like Ryback. I would use him. He would be the guy that I would use to put over a guy like Samoa Joe or Kevin Owens. Take a guy who doesn't necessarily have as much character going for him right now. Take a guy like Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin, put in the proper situation with a guy like with a veteran like Bully Ray, could turn his entire career around. Everybody right now, what the hell was it? I forget what Kristen said in the tackle preview thing. Oh yeah, she said Baron Corbin has Kristen Stewart face because he doesn't have any expression in his face. I don't know very much about Kristen Stewart, so that's a thing. Yeah, I wouldn't have him be a main eventer. His return at the Rumble was kind of tacky because he came in old school with the 3D with the 3D camo and the glasses and all that sort of thing, which was cool for a nostalgia thing. I would have the much more updated, much more laid back, real person Bully Ray that we had towards the tail end of his TNA career. I would really, to announce his arrival, I would really play up his prowess as a tag team champion and how many titles he's had and whatever. That is one thing that I will say about TNA. TNA has never been shy about saying the accomplishments of their stars from other places. They refer to the Dudleys as like 24-time tag team champions from, you know, WWF, WCW, Alliance, NWA, IWGP, ECW, etc. I don't know why WWE doesn't do it, but if they used a guy like Bully Ray, I would really hope that they would. Push, bury, or fire? Oh, you're gonna make me fire my boy The Miz. That's sad. Barry Ziegler, because he's already... Okay, the three guys, sorry, are Dolph Ziggler, The Miz, and Dean Ambrose. Push Ambrose, Barry Ziegler, because he's already there, and I guess fire The Miz. You're a heartless person, Abel. Make me fire my boy. What would your ideal SummerSlam and Survivor Series main events be for this year? Survivor Series doesn't feel like a main pay-per-view anymore, but if we're going to have the Rollins-Lesnar rematch, do that at SummerSlam, do the Shield triple threat at Survivor Series. Should Bray Wyatt turn babyface? I don't really know how he would, because the crowd already loves him, and all he really does is tell the truth from his perspective, get unpopular, and have people attempt to kick his ass for it. Bray Wyatt is the Spaz Phoenix of the WWE. No, I'm not that cocky at all. I don't know what you would do to him to turn him face. The crowd already friggin' loves him. You got the fireflies and all that sort of thing. What is your favorite feature of the WWE Network? I guess it's specific to me. I don't know how it actually works in the States where you guys are watching it on your Xboxes and your PS3s and whatever. I actually get it on my Rogers box as a proper TV channel, so anything that I'm going to miss, I can TiVo it. Not all the pay-per-views that we watch go into our on-demand right away. The Canadian on-demand portion is ridiculously outdated. It's, not updated, I should say. So if I set my TiVo to record WrestleMania, I can, watch WrestleMania, come home, watch it again the next day. Whereas I'm sure you guys have it so that when the pay-per-view ends, it's immediately into your library. Is that the case? I really don't know. I only got to play with it a little bit last time I was in the States. Favorite feature? I don't know if you would call it a feature, because like I say, for me, it's just a TV channel. It's a TV channel that has a lot of good programming on it. I guess the easy answer is NXT. I guess the really, really easy answer is not paying $60 for a pay-per-view. I don't watch a lot of the actual programming, I'm not going to lie. Like, I don't watch Legends House. I don't watch Total Divas and all that crap. The reason I have the network is the same reason most people have the network, is because $9.99 for a $11.99 up here in Canada, but $11.99 is better than $60 for a pay-per-view. The rest of it's just bonus. The rest of it's just icing on the cake. Even if NXT wasn't included, I would still just for the price of the pay-per-views alone. What's the best feature of the WWE network? Is me saving $50 a month. Who has more potential, Kevin Owens or Finn Balor? Oh, man. That's not even fair. Finn Balor's gonna make that entrance on Raw one time, and he's gonna be fucking over his shit. How would you book Kane's retirement? I said this, again, in the tackle panel before Extreme Rules. We gotta retire Kane in the Big Show quick, because if we don't do it quickly, when they do retire, nobody's gonna care at all, and it's really not gonna matter. Have the two of them in a tag team match against two up-and-comers. Have it be a one-sided retirement match. Hey, if we beat... we're fighting against the Authority. We want a tag team title shot. If we beat Kane in the Big Show, they retire and we get a title shot. I don't fucking know. Thoughts on the New Day being heels? They were always heels. The New Day, and this is why I don't get why people hate the New Day. I really don't. Well, I do, in a way. People thought that they saw three guys getting together as a faction, and they thought it was going to be the Nation, and they were wrong. And people don't like being wrong, so they're going to bitch. The New Day were designed to be heels. I don't care what anybody says, oh, they failed, so they had to turn heel. No, they were heels. Anybody that comes out with any kind of message that they're pushing in your face is a heel. They're pushing their positivity and their beliefs and whatever, the same way Right to Censor pushed their censorship, the same way CM Punk pushed the straight edge thing, the same way Daniel Bryan had his bullshit wannabe CM Punk vegan thing. It's not a turn. I mean, they're doing great. They're kind of rubbing it in people's faces because they're coming out and smiling and clapping and, hey, why don't you guys love us? All we're doing is winning. And then they cheat to win, and it's fucking fantastic. And I mean, as I've said a million times, you might not like the gimmick, but the three guys as a team have meshed incredibly, incredibly well. Last but certainly not least, what are your overall thoughts of Season 5 of The Walking Dead, and what are your expectations for Season 6? For those of you that followed me and Bird on our other channel, The Walking Stuff and Dead Things, we dropped off. We both got busy. We didn't review the last 3 episodes. this season, but Jesus Christ, it ended in a pretty good damn way there. You know, the mayor's wife gets his, the mayor's husband gets his throat cut, and Rick finally gets to shoot somebody, and Morgan comes back, and everybody, basically, Rick's group is going to fight Alexandria, and it's going to be a civil war. And the people in Alexandria have lived behind that wall for so damn long, they don't know how to survive on the outside. They don't know how to survive when violence is brought to their front door. So Rick and his group realistically could have bitch-slapped them all by now. The introduction of Morgan is quite funny, because we saw Morgan go from a nice, pleasant guy that was telling Rick how the world was to completely going crazy to kind of being self-sustained. Rick, on the other hand, has gone from, like, you know, officer friendly from up the road a ways to killing bitches left, right, and center. All of his clothes are soaked in blood. I don't think he has any white shirts left. It's fantastic. When they killed Beth, that was horrible. When they killed Tyrese, I didn't care. I'm not gonna lie. When I thought they had killed Glenn, I wasn't okay for a second there. But if they did kill Glenn, then Maggie would be single. And Lauren Cohen, all of my yes. Anyways, lingered far too long on that, and it's getting strange. Logan Claiborne, have you ever lived outside of Canada? No. Can TNA become relevant? Of course they can. Get somebody to back, get some money. You mean you found Dixie Carter, and Dixie Carter brought Daddy's money to the equation. Friggin', what's his name? Oh my god, what's his name? Billy Corgan from Smashing Pumpkins is the new head writer for TNA. I don't even know what to say about that, but I'm just sticking that in there. Should WWE bring back the Dudleys? No, they should bring back Bully Ray. Devon's kind of friggin' useless. Was the Aces and Eights storyline entertaining to you? I wasn't judgmental of the Aces and Eights. I'm not judgmental of TNA as a whole, because, as I say, I spend so much time analyzing WWE for you guys, and because it's what I like to talk about. TNA is like a vacation for me. They can come to the ring and drop a pile of shit in the center. You know, they could have Abyss come out in a diaper and dump out its contents in the ring, and I really wouldn't care, because I'm so detached when I watch TNA. Now, was Ace and Eights first day with my new tongue, as Taz would say? Was Aces and Eights done well? No. It was just a bunch of big guys in a company that was built on its Cruiserweight or X division. You just brought in a bunch of big guys, and it was Mike Knox, and it was friggin' Tarver, and Bully Ray. Bully Ray's good, but I mean, friggin' Luke Gallows and Snitsky, and oh my god, it was just the people that they brought in. I couldn't be a commentator for TNA, because every time they pulled off one of those masks, it was this big gigantic, oh my god, it's him! It's like, who says, oh my god, it's him, to Luke Gallows and Snitsky? And who the fuck is Garrett Bischoff? Just putting that one out there. The Hulk Hogan, Brooke Hogan, Jeff Hardy, Bully Ray storyline was great. The fact that Bully Ray went up against this faction for so long, only to reveal that he was the leader, that was done relatively well. As a whole, it was a failure. As a whole, it was worse than the Nexus, let's be real. Is Seth Rollins a future Hall of Famer? I know this is stepping out on a huge limb, but why not? If he stays on the trajectory he's on right now, absolutely. If he stays on the trajectory he's on right now, and his success snowballs in the way that I think it will, I mean, of all the members of the Shield, we thought that Seth Rollins would be the one that would stay face. You know, we thought Roman would turn heel, because that would make sense, because he's the corporate version of what a champ should be. That's really outdated logic. Ambrose is kind of crazy, so he's kind of not face or heel, but you could put him in heel scenarios and he would fit. Everybody thought Seth Rollins was going to be the next Jeff Hardy, including me. When Seth Rollins does turn babyface, and personally I think it's going to happen sooner than later, he's going to freaking skyrocket. He really, really is. He's already doing great. He's working side by side, shoulder to shoulder with Triple H, who's going to be running the company one day, so that's a thing. ECW or WCW? Never watched a scrap of ECW when it was actually happening, and I mean proper ECW, not WWECW. So everything else I've seen from ECW, aside after the fact that I only caught the tail end of WCW. So purely by the content that I've seen, I have to say WCW, only because I can't fairly and intelligently speak about ECW, so I have to talk about what I know. If Hogan did wrestle one more match, please know who should it be against. He shouldn't. He really shouldn't. And I don't even want to think of, like, no offense, man. I'm not trying to shit on your question. He just shouldn't. If he wants to, if they want to give some match at WrestleMania a big fight feel, if 10 years from now the main event is fucking Dean Ambrose versus Bray Wyatt for the title, and they want to have Hogan come out as the announcer, brother, or some shit like that, cool, go for it. Put his name on the marquee. That way, don't have him in a match. Just don't do it. Have you watched any old pay-per-views recently? I just watched WrestleMania 17 the other day. That's kind of fun. Sorry, I watched 17 and 18. 17 because it's one of the best WrestleManias of all time. 18 because I was there, and for those respective reasons. It's still fun. You still can't beat TLC2, the spear scene around the world, Edge off the ladder into Jeff Hardy. It's still one of my favorite. You know, it's not as impactful as, say, Mick Foley coming off the cell and whatever, but it's still one of my favorite spots of all time. And Hogan versus Rock, yes, partially I'm biased, partially it's because I was there, but as far as just watching the crowd and having fun with a match, just one of the best spectacles out there. Favorite ladder match to not include Jeff Hardy, Edge, or Shawn Michaels. There were a few ladder matches between Rob Van Dam and Eddie Guerrero, and then there was the ladder match for the custody of Dominic, which was a distasteful as fuck storyline, but the ladder match between Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero was fantastic as well. See, I can give Rey Mysterio credit when he actually does good shit. Who deserves a push that's not getting one? It's a long list. Favorite Hell in the Cell is Taker versus Mankind, man. Come on. Thoughts on New Jack? Again, I didn't watch ECW. The only thing I know about New Jack is that he was involved in the mass transit incident, and that's fucking terrible. Have you ever watched CZW? No, I haven't. Again, like I said to the other question about the Bullet Club, if you've got something specific you want me to take a look at, pop me the link down in the box below or find me on Facebook. I will give you my thoughts on whatever you show me, but I'm not really going to pursue another Fed. What would WWE be like without John Cena being there? They would have found somebody else to fill the spot. John Cena is not Hulk Hogan. Somebody else could have been John Cena. It would have been Randy Orton. The WWE wouldn't be that much different than what it is right now. We would just be really sick of Randy Orton instead of being really sick of John Cena, in all honesty. Or Batista. Like, think about the guys that all came out of that OVW class. You had Lesnar, you had Cena, you had Orton, and you had Batista. Those were your four promising sort of diamonds in the rough that came out at the time. It was supposed to be Lesnar. Everybody's heard the story. It was supposed to be Lesnar, and then Lesnar fucked off, so they went to the next guy on the list, and that was John Cena. John Cena had gone off. They still got two more options there to go. And shortly after that came Edge. You had Edge. If Edge had been a little bit more careful, Edge could be the face of the company right now if he wasn't injured. If he hadn't fucked up his neck and shit, I'm sorry. This is a bit of my Canadian bias coming through, and I will fully admit that. Edge could be the face of the company right fucking now if he wasn't, like, fucked up and injured and shit. Is there anything you can think of that hasn't been done in wrestling yet that should be? I know it's happened in smaller companies, but I think if you have a strong enough Divas division, a mixed tag team division would be fantastic. Favorite wrestler in the Attitude Era? It's gotta be Shawn Michaels. It has to be. I mean, I could say Undertaker, but Undertaker spans over so many different eras that that's almost not fair. Shawn Michaels does as well, but Shawn Michaels in the Attitude Era, prime Attitude Era, DX at its genesis, you gotta go Shawn Michaels. I know a lot of people went Austin, and that's fine. I hated Austin for the longest time. I rejected the rise of Stone Cold Steve Austin so fucking hard because I was such a big Shawn Michaels fan. And going into WrestleMania 14, when they had the DX band and Mike Tyson is in the DX shirt, I fucking cursed at my screen when Tyson tore off his shirt and he had the Austin shirt on underneath. Yeah, I'm a mark. It happens. Is Earl Hebner the best worst ref of all time? No, anything that he's ever been judged for, he was following orders, and I hate to use that soldier's metaphor, but, like, what do? Do you screw over Bret Hart, or do you lose your job yourself? Bret Hart will get hired at WCW. WCW, I don't think at the time needed any more referees. Angle versus Ziggler in a 60-minute Iron Man match. Could Angle keep up? Oh, fuck. All due respect to Ziggler, I think Angle would school him. I think Ziggler, for all his intense and immense, I guess, athleticism and his endurance and his willingness to be the ragdoll for everybody he's in the ring with, despite all that, fucking Kurt Angle's not human. We've seen the stuff that he's done, and we've seen, like, he's just not. They started calling him the Cyborg in TNA, and I thought that's fucking perfect. But that match is money. It just is. Will Samoa Joe be a world champion in WWE? Unless they totally fuck him up, yes. Should Triple H still wrestle? Fucking absolutely. There's not a lot of people in WWE right now with the natural intensity of Triple H. And I mean, like, when you get right down into the gritty, grimy, cerebral assassin, shed the authority bullshit, take off the suit, come out with your leather and denim jacket, wielding your sledgehammer, don't let Stephanie carry it for you because she looks weird. And just start fucking up bitches. Like, honestly. Triple H, fucking... It's why I want to see freaking Triple H versus The Rock at WrestleMania next year. Because The Rock is so not that. The Rock is so neat and tidy and polished and entertaining. Whereas Triple H is just, shut the fuck up, fist to the face, let's fucking fight. And it's so fucking good. Logan Claiborne, if Austin returns for one more match for Mania in Dallas, who should it be against? That is a good question. With Punk gone, I'd have to say Ambrose. Book Jeff Hardy versus Adrian Neville in a feud. It wouldn't be very intricate. It wouldn't be very, hard to think about. Adrian Neville keeps snowballing popularity like he's going to. Starts getting a bit of a chip on his shoulder. Cuts a promo about how he's truly earned his moniker of the man that gravity forgot. Gets interrupted by Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy says, yeah, gravity may have forgotten you, but it never knew me. Boom. Off to the races. Will we ever see Lesnar do the shooting? Okay. What's the best angle in WWE history? Direct shot on the ring. Ha! Will we ever see Brock Lesnar do the shooting star press again? Now, I thought we might see it at WrestleMania 31. I really did. I thought if anybody's going to do the spot where Brock Lesnar, of all people, hits a shooting star press and they kick out, WWE would give something like that to Roman Reigns, but they didn't. If you believe old WWE legend, when Brock Lesnar first made his way up onto the main roster, somebody told him, I think it might have even been Heyman, you really got to go out there, you really got to enjoy the house shows, because he was bitching about doing the house show circuit, he doesn't like traveling, whatever he says. You really got to take the opportunity at the house shows, because you can kind of step out of your element a little bit, do something to make yourself stand out. And I don't know why. And this is a story that I've heard. It could be completely false. But so he went out one night, not knowing that Vince was there, pulled off the shooting star press on some local fucking jobber, like Matt Morgan or something like that. As soon as he went back through the, I guess it's not Gorilla at a house show, but once he got back through the curtain, whatever, Vince McMahon ordered him into the office and says, you fucking save that for WrestleMania. And he didn't do it again. I mean, obviously, other than practice and whatever, but he never did it again until WrestleMania in his match against Angle. Now, if you believe that, he must have been sitting on ready on the trigger, waiting to pull this big, massive weapon out of his arsenal. Will we see it again after what happened at WrestleMania? Probably not. WWE, especially with their attention on concussions and all that sort of thing, would probably say no. If it's something we know that he can do, and he never does it again, that'll be disappointing, but, I don't think we will. I would love to see it, and I would love to see him... I would love to see him use that spot to show what a badass his opponent is, because I want to see him pull that off. I want to see everybody have their holy shit moment, and then I want his opponent to get that holy shit moment when his opponent kicks out. And I'm not saying who it is. Roman Reigns, obviously, because that's the guy WWE wants to push. That's who they would give it to. But say you have... I don't fucking know. Take somebody unassuming, like Neville, and I'm not saying this to shit on Neville, but the size discrepancy would be fucking huge. Brock Lesnar chases around the man that gravity forgot, beats him down till he's within an inch of his life, has him prone on the ground. Brock fucking Lesnar hits a shooting star press on Neville, and Neville kicks out. I don't care if he wins the match or not. That is a WrestleMania moment. That's a pay-per-view moment. Hell, at a house show, that would be a moment. I think it'd be great. I think Brock Lesnar using the shooting star press will put over whoever he's in the ring with. Will he do it? But as I say, in logical terms, do I think WWE will let him do it again? No. Does Adrian Neville have potential to be a world champion? Absolutely. Because he moves the way he does, yes. He's not as big as a lot of guys on the roster, but because he's a cruiserweight, or because he moves like a cruiserweight, and because our mentalities as fans is, if you're a high flyer, you're a little guy. Wait till Adrian Neville stops. Wait till he's like staring down somebody and really get a good look at the guy. He's not as small as you think he is. Do I think he could be a champion? Absolutely. The match he had with the freaking champion was his second match on the Raw roster. It was fucking great. Should Seth Rollins be the one to break Punk's record for longest title reign in the modern era? We know somebody who's going to try it. Why not Rollins? Absolutely. I don't have a problem with him holding the title from Mania to Mania and beyond. Not a problem in the slightest. Book Seth Rollins versus Shawn Michaels. 2 ways you can do Seth Rollins versus Shawn Michaels. Either Seth Rollins breaks away from the Authority and wants to prove that he's better than Triple H, wants to achieve all the things that Triple H achieved, and in the process, he challenges Shawn Michaels to come out of retirement for one match. He says, you've beaten this guy, I can too. Go off to the races. Or, conversely, Shawn Michaels comes back to the WWE, as he sometimes does, to talk some sense into somebody, sees how badly Triple H and Stephanie are pampering Rollins as the champion, tries to talk some sense into Triple H. Triple H gets up in his face, Rollins takes the microphone and says, no, boss. You don't need to do this. I'll take care of it for you. And Rollins takes on Shawn Michaels, and Shawn Michaels' one comeback match representing the Authority. So, either way, the Authority would play a role, because obviously the key factor would be Shawn Michaels' attachment to Triple H. But either Seth Rollins fights him because he's not in the Authority anymore, or fights him because he is in the Authority. That's the only way you can. There's no other real attachment that you could make, other than, like, if he had a match with Bryan and, like, broke Bryan's leg and calls out Shawn Michaels and be like, hey, I fucked up your student. Like, that would be a stretch, to say the least. Will Triple H ever become face again? I hope not, because he's so much better as a heel. Did Reigns get shafted at Mania? I don't think so, because his title reign would have been booed out of every building he touched. No, he really, I don't think he did. As I said, I have no problem with Reigns winning the Royal Rumble, not nearly as much as some people. There were other guys that I would have liked to win, like a Ziggler, like a Ambrose, or even a Wyatt, etc., etc. So no, Reigns was not my number one choice to win the Rumble, although some people seem to think that. It was when Reigns won, it was just a case of, okay, wasn't my choice, but I don't mind. Let's see what he can do. Everybody else has already decided that he sucks. He might suck. Let's see what he can do. Was I really pulling hard for him to win? Would have been interesting. I really would have liked to see how WWE dealt with the hate that he would have gotten if he had won. Why the fuck is Dolph Ziggler on the mid-card? Because the world doesn't make sense. Who should take the belt off Rollins? We've already talked about that. What do you think of somebody winning the NXT title and taking it onto Raw and then winning the IC title and being a dual champion? I would say yes, because I think it would be great. I think they would carry the NXT title on Raw and they'd be representing NXT. They would wear the Intercontinental Championship on NXT, and they would show, hey, the guy that holds this NXT title was also good enough to hold this. I think it would help both shows. I think it would help both titles. I think it would help the talent immensely. It would double his travel schedule, because he would have to go back and forth between Full Sail and wherever they're doing their live shows. So it would be trying for whoever that talent was, for sure. Problem is we've already set the precedent for escalating talent. When Paige came up to the main roster and beat AJ for the Divas Championship, she went to NXT 2 weeks later and had her talk with JBL, who was running NXT at the time, and he says, we cannot have the NXT Women's Championship on Raw. We need a champion here that's us, that's whatever. So they've already kind of set a precedent that NXT, whoever's running NXT, is not going to allow an established WWE talent to hold an NXT belt. And I'm sorry, as soon as you hold the Intercontinental Championship, you are an established WWE star. I mean, look at how Santino Marella won. Just one example. It would be good. I can see them doing a lot of cool things with it, but they've already set a precedent the other way. Will John Cena be world champion again? Of course he will. I feel like Bray Wyatt needs to win his next few feuds. Would you agree? I'd like to see him win. The feud that he's about to go into with Ryback, I know everybody's against it. I don't think it makes very much sense either, but it makes so little sense that I'm curious as to how they explain it away. Wyatt has had a reason for going after everybody he's gone after. He went after Cena because he's the big dog. He went after Kane to show that he's a scarier person than the devil's favorite demon. He went after Jericho just because he's a popular, flashy guy, and you know he wanted to tear all that down. He went after Taker because he wanted to be the new face of fear in the WWE. Looking at it as fans, we look at Ryback and we think there's not much he can get from Ryback, but I'm curious character-wise, like storyline-wise. I mean, in actuality, it's just like, okay, this is the structure. We need to set up a feud, rah-de-rah-de-rah. But storyline-wise, I want to know why the character Bray Wyatt is going after Ryback. I want to know what the character Ryback thinks he's going to get out of that victory. As I said, I don't think it makes any sense. I don't think the match will be particularly good, I will be honest. But it's so out of left field that I'm curious as to how they're going to explain it away. Is Cena underrated? Yeah, he really is. I won't say underrated as much as overbashed, because there's people acting even now the way they did when he was main eventing every pay-per-view, when he always had the title, when he always had the belt, whatever, and everybody was sick of him. And I did Cenapocalypse. If you're new to the channel, go through the channel, look at Cenapocalypse. It's still one of my most viewed videos of all time. Top 50 reasons why John Cena is killing professional wrestling. Now, I did that before WrestleMania 28. So it's a little outdated now. He's holding the least valuable title, having matches with all of the mid-card and elevating them all in the process, including Rusev, and if you don't agree with me, that's fine. He hasn't touched the main event of a pay-per-view in I don't know how long, in any realistic way. He's put over Ziggler, he's put over Bryan. He beat Wyatt twice, but he's also been beaten by Wyatt. He's taken a step. He's still John Cena. He's still, you know, the beating heart of the company or whatever the hell he wants to. But he's taken a step down from the spot that we didn't want him to be in. I'll say that much. Book Brock Lesnar's return. At any given time, Seth Rollins can be celebrating something great. Brock Lesnar comes out of the crowd and fucks him up. Like, don't do something too complicated. Is, you know, have that, you know, I've been sitting on the couch for too long mentality. Should Sting and Undertaker be the end for them both? I know, guys. I know a lot of people want to see Sting versus Taker. I just don't. Would it help the WWE to have Jim Ross come back a few times a year, like Mania or Survivor Series? Me personally, watching as a fan, I love JR. I think JR's commentary is great. Now, in the sense that commentators are kind of like wrestlers, we always complain when we get to WrestleMania and a bunch of part-timers come in and take the spots from the new guys, because how are they supposed to establish themselves if we get to a big show and all the old guys come back? The commentators, you'd have to have a very similar mentality. You can't take your commentators seriously if when the big you know, it's like you let a kid play with a toy, or you let a kid set the table for dinner every night of the week, but when you've got company coming over, when it's an important dinner, you set the table yourself. You make sure that the silver's all polished and whatever. If you set it up whereas, like, the commentators that you have right now are commentating the whole year, but then you get to WrestleMania and, you know, the adults come back, like Jim Ross, for example, yeah, it would be great to see Jim Ross, but what does that say about your current commentating staff? It would be cool from, like, as I say, from a spectator's point of view, but it's a real shot to the gut, to the credibility of whatever new commentators you want to see coming up. Because right now, as I say, most people hate Michael Cole. I don't. We've got great commentators on NXT that I would love to come up. Renee Young and Corey Graves should be commentating SmackDown at the very least. Put Michael Cole along with those two on SmackDown. Let them get their feet wet. Let them do the travel, the whole bit. Eventually put one of them on Raw. Have Michael Cole commentate both shows. Have him commentate with Renee Young on SmackDown. Have him commentate with Corey Graves on Raw. Have all three of them commentate WrestleMania 32. Why not? Why not? It's like... It's like why I don't mind Roman Reigns going into the match with Lesnar at WrestleMania. Yeah, he might not be ready, but you know how you find out if somebody's ready or not? Throw them in the deep end, you know, paddle the boat out into the middle of the lake, toss them out of the boat, see if they can swim. That's what they did with Roman Reigns. They should do that on every level. They should do that with sound guys. They should do that with creative guys. They should do that with guys that put video packages together. They should do it with refs, commentators, the whole fucking bit. As much as I would love to see JR back every once in a while, I think it would hurt in the long run. Okay, Cheney 815 says, since you love Daniel Bryan so much, respond to these 10 questions with a yes or no answer. In contrast to the Undertaker comparisons, do you think Bray Wyatt is the next Jake Roberts? No. I see more similarities to the Undertaker, to be quite honest with you. With AJ Lee retiring, did WWE miss their chance of resurrecting the women's title? No, it's still a good idea, and they could do it with Paige, for sure. Should the SmackDown fist return, at least for one night, please? I wouldn't mind. The one modification I would put on it is because it looked like the fist was just coming through a bunch of little panes of aluminum foil. Like, the rest of the stage looked like crap. If you had the SmackDown fist coming through now, through, like, shattered LED boards that act like the Raw ones do, I think that would look absolutely fantastic. Do you play any instruments? No, I used to play piano. Don't ask me to play now, because I can't play a lick. I used to take vocal. The closest thing I do to that now is every now and then I hit up the Celtic Rock bar here in Brampton and do some karaoke, and it's wonderful or terrifying, depending on your point of view. Should JBL be inducted into the Hall of Fame, especially next year being in Texas? Yes. Not just in wrestling, but have you ever seen something on TV that makes you think, okay, that's gone too far? Oh, that's a hard thing. I really don't believe in censorship. I really don't. I think anything, like, that's why I like the debates you have about PG. You can have a very, very good PG product, but PG is a limitation, and a limitation on a creative process is a handcuff, no matter how you want to look at it. Entertainment, especially for with kids, it's different. I get that. Entertainment for adults should represent the real world or be a farce of the real world as closely as possible. So you can watch a movie where something horrible happens. If you get to the end of the movie and there's no repercussion for it, then fine. But if something horrible happens and it's part of the story, then no, they didn't go too far. Things in the WWE. Where a lot of people think they went too far is, what the hell is his name? Big Boss Man pulling up the grave of Big Show's parents, which was just funny because you end up with the Big Show just riding on the casket and whatever. Mae Young giving birth to a hand. Rey Mysterio using the death of Eddie Guerrero to get himself a title shot. Just a bunch of things. Most recently, CM Punk using the death of Paul Bearer to boost up his match with Undertaker at WrestleMania. If I was going to say that there was a limit, those might be some of the things that are past the limit, but I really, short of killing somebody in the ring, literally, like pulling a gun and blowing their fucking brains out, I'm not gonna say that much should be out of bounds. If it makes you hate them, it did its job. If it makes the character hate them and makes you cheer for the character, then it did its job. If you are legitimately angry about what's going on, regardless of who you're cheering for, it's done the job. At the end of the day, and again, I'll use the Paul Bearer thing as the example, they're telling a story. Yes, William Moody died in real life. Phil Brooks didn't disrespect Will Moody to Mark Calloway. A character named Paul Bearer died. A character named CM Punk made fun of him to a character named The Undertaker. Now, that's like me saying, Lord of the Rings, Battle of the Five Armies, whatever. How many friggin' elves and dwarves got absolutely slaughtered? This is horrendous. It's fiction. It's absolute fiction. And fiction ain't gonna hurt anybody. I'm just saying. And I'm not trying to be cold or heartless or anything. But as soon as you say, okay, that's too far, then you've drawn a line, and then somebody that's a little less liberal than you nudges the line back. nudges the line back. Nudges the line back. Till we're all telling John Cena poopy pissy jokes and we're having a tickle fight because we can't use steel chairs anymore. So the slippery slope argument is really cliche, but it really does apply here. I don't want to apply I don't think censorship should be a thing. So there's no place, nothing in wrestling that I've seen anyways, where I'm going to say they've gone too far. I'm really not. Do you listen to Five Finger Death Punch? On the off chance you don't listen to the song Generation Dead while you're talking about The Walking Dead. I know Five Finger Death Punch by name, but I'm not that familiar. I will take your suggestion into account and maybe use it next year or next season for Walking Stuff and Dead. Thanks. Have you ever called any of your female friends Beth Phoenix? No. The fact that I have Phoenix in my nickname has nothing to do with Beth Phoenix. It has to do with, I don't know if you guys can see that or not. Phoenix tattoo. Lighting is shitty, but that I got that in 2013, the same week that I went to see Survivor Series 2013 in Boston with my former co-host Seppi Sunshine. Now I never called her Beth Phoenix. But we do have a running joke that if I was CM Punk, she would be my Lita. So her nickname became Malita, sort of a play on Lita, sort of a play on the name Melina, and all that sort of thing. So nicknames do happen. I've never called anybody Beth Phoenix because most of my friends are hotter than Beth Phoenix. I'm just putting that one out there. Am I an asshole for putting a D-Bry spin on all these questions? No, it just means you've been paying attention to my videos and my opinions on Daniel Bryan. This is a long one, so bear with me. And I've read this question before, and it's so true. Look at Daniel Bryan's accomplishments in his WWE career. Faced Y2J in his first match. He's SmackDown's Mr. Money in the Bank in 2011. Won the heavyweight title less than 2 years into his career. Beat John Cena clean at SummerSlam 2013. WrestleMania 30, in brackets, WrestleMania 30, need I say more. He's now had a Grand Slam championship format established around him, winning the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania 31. If the Cruiserweight belt returned at WrestleMania 32, you can expect him to be involved in that as well, but I digress. Taking all of this into account, is this a testament to how Daniel Bryan has subtly had a rocket shoved up his ass since he debuted, which was right under our noses the entire time, making us all somewhat blind to the fact that he's no longer a new guy? The answer is yes. Daniel Bryan, whether anybody wants to admit it or not, has had a rocket shoved up his ass. Every single time. Every single time. Every single time. He defended, as you've said here, he defended the U.S. title at 27, the World Heavyweight at 28, the Tag at 29, he won the WWE title at 30, and he won the Intercontinental Championship at 31. He has defended every title the WWE has at WrestleMania. He's won Money in the Bank. He's gotten the main event spot at WrestleMania. And there's people out there that say that Daniel Bryan needs to be pushed because, we need to push young guys. Daniel Bryan, A, is not new, and B, has done just about everything there is to do in WWE. I'm not wishing the guy bad. He's talented, for sure. It sucks that he's injured, for sure. But he's not some doted-on new guy that hasn't had a shot. That's ridiculous. You're absolutely right in that regard. He has had a subtle rocket shoved up his ass since he debuted. Reverse push when he got the Money in the Bank because he gave him the Money in the Bank, and then he lost all the time. But as I said earlier about other stuff, he lost so much that everybody got pissed off that all they were talking about was how great Daniel Bryan was. So even that was great. He cashed in on two fucking giants named The Big Show and Mark Henry. He scurried away for months from both of them with the title. Even his loss at WrestleMania to Sheamus catapulted him into further fandom. So I really don't know what he hasn't been given. I really don't know how you can call him a new guy, but it's friggin' ridiculous. Thank you for all of those questions. No Job Team Barry this time. Maybe I'll do a double dose next time. Anyways, thanks for answering. You are more than welcome, my friend. The 733ism says, would a 3-fall fatal 4-way last man standing match work in the WWE? Now, the way that that's worded, the only way I can interpret that, and I'm really, really sorry if I'm reading this the wrong way, a 3-fall fatal 4-way last man standing match. So basically what you're saying is a fatal 4 match where one competitor wins when all 3 of his competitors can't answer a 10 count. that would be a long-ass match. I'm almost morbidly curious as to how that would go, but I don't think WWE would do it. Which cage is bigger in height, the Hell in the Cell or Caged Heat, the WCW steel cage version of the Cell? I've never seen, actually, a WCW Caged Heat match, so I really can't tell you. I have to say Hell in the Cell. I haven't seen anything other than the ridiculous triple-tier cage that they made for Ready to Rumble. I haven't seen, personally. Sorry, actually, that's not true. Other than the triple-tier cage that they made for Ready to Rumble, which was just ridiculous, and the extended cages that they made for War Games, and that was only because there was more than one ring involved, I haven't seen any other structure in WCW or anywhere else that's bigger than Hell in the Cell. And Gary Monahan says, great Q&A for March, bud. Here's some questions for the April edition. What are your thoughts on the Montreal Screwjobs? Who was wrong, Vince or Brett? Brett got fucked by Vince, but he did it. Brett got fucked by Vince. That's a given. He got fucked by Vince because he wouldn't cooperate. He wanted him to drop the title. He was leaving. He was going to go to WCW and all this, whatever, and he wouldn't cooperate, and he wouldn't lay down. You know, it's that whole wrestling thing. You're supposed to leave on your back. So one guy was wrong and difficult and whatever. The other guy responded in kind. They both carry blame in this. Everybody wants to blame Earl Hebner. Earl Hebner, like I said earlier, was just doing his damn job. Poor guy. Although I do like the fact that he curried that into his own t-shirt in TNA that says "Damn right I did" for all the "You Screwed Brett" chants. What is your dream Elimination Chamber lineup? I don't know. 3-on-3 match. The regrouped Shield versus the regrouped Wyatt family, maybe? Do you think it would be good if somebody loaded rich, like maybe Donald Trump or something, bought TNA, got them to rival... Wow, I don't think that's written properly. Basically, he's saying, should somebody rich like Donald Trump buy TNA and start up the Monday Night Wars again? Anybody that has any money to infuse into any company that will compete with WWE will be good because it will make WWE better. If Undertaker was to bring back the Ministry of Darkness, who should he recruit? I would say all three members of the Wyatt family, Dean Ambrose, Stardust, and bring up Baron Corbin. Do you think the CM Punk pipe bomb on Raw where the mic got cut off was real or a work? I think it was real. I think they gave him a chance to vent his frustrations, and I think the framework that they gave him, if I'm understanding correctly from the DVD, which I have sitting up there, and I could watch, and I could pause this right now and go watch him talk about it, but I'm just not going to, because I'm fucking tired more than anything else. But I think the way it's explained in the documentary was, they said, here, take a microphone, you can go out there, vent out whatever frustrations you have, and just go until we cut you off. I think he knew he was eventually going to get cut off. I don't think he necessarily knew when. I think it's kind of funny that they cut him off as soon as he started talking about Vince and the anti-bullying campaign. I think eventually. If you were stranded on a desert island with any diva, past or present, who would you pick and okay. Oh, it's just a bunch of spaces. Who would you pick? Of all time? That's tough. I'll narrow it down to 3. Lita, AJ Page. If you could have a beer and a chat with any male wrestler, past or present, who would you pick? I think it would be ironic to sit down and have a beer with CM Punk because he doesn't drink at all and I don't drink beer. CM Punk. You've said wrestler because, like, I've said before, it would be interesting if the person you got to talk to from the WWE wasn't a wrestler. If you talked to somebody from the ring crew, talk to somebody from production, talk to some of the commentators like Jim Ross, Michael Cole, etc. But you've said wrestlers, so Mick Foley, maybe Edge. I'd love to talk to Jeff Hardy because he's had quite a roller coaster of extreme success and extreme, shall we say, not success. Victory Road 2011, for example. There's a couple people. As soon as you say sit down and have a beer with, I think of Austin, but I don't think I would. I think I'd rather sit down with somebody like Shawn Michaels, maybe. Bret Hart. Yeah, lots of people. just for the weight and the respect that he carries throughout the business, love to sit down with Mark Calloway and just pick his brain for a little bit. That would be great. Do you think they should have a TV title in WWE? No. Do you think they should bring back the light heavyweight or cruiserweight division? I do a video on here, actually, once a year, and it's going to happen again this year, probably sometime in June, called The Great Cruiserweight Debate, explaining not only why I think they should bring it back, but how great I think it could be in this current day and age, etc. So, short answer is yes. For a longer answer, keep your eyes peeled for that video in the future. Do you think the Survivor Series should go back to where nearly every match on the card was an elimination thing, or just do a one-off like it is nowadays? I think it's better. I think it's better when they're all Survivor matches. I think it's actually better. I know we always talk about it's all about the build, but I think the Survivor Series, the years where it's just been like, here, we're gonna like basically lottery draw some teams, and they basically throw a 5-on-5 match together with 5 random feuds that are happening in the company. I think sometimes the randomness of that helps. Who would be your dream? What would your dream elimination tag be? I'm guessing you mean for Survivor Series. If CM Punk was still in the company and Daniel Bryan was healthy, I would say CM Punk and The Shield versus Daniel Bryan and the Wyatt family, 4-on-4. Would be absolutely fantastic. In the Ropes Show didn't ask me any questions, but said great Q&A, fun, insightful, and entertaining. Keep up the good work, Matt. And I thank you for that. Next time, please feel free to add some questions into the mix. And you guys over on your channel, keep up your good work as well. Guys, that's it. I have no idea how long I've been rambling because the counter is reset on my camera twice already, which means there's going to be jump cuts in this video. Oh, the joy and the wonder. I've said it a bunch of times at the beginning of the video. I'll say it again now. This is my favorite thing to do on this channel as a solo guy. Please keep it up. Please put your questions down in the box below for the May Q&A. Please keep it under 50 so that I don't, die and sound like I sound right now. Share this video. Get more people involved in the Q&A. Like I said, everybody here in the comment section throwing me all these ridiculous amounts of questions are all the loyals. I recognize all the names and you guys are fantastic. Always want to add more people to the conversation, like I say at the end of every video. This is it. I'm running out of voice, I'm running out of breath, and I really, really need to go to bed. As usual, let me know if you've stayed to the end. Thought I had something else to say there, but I really don't, so I will say, I've been Spaz, your YWC Reality Check. This has been Ask the Phoenix. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation, keep all these conversations going, ask me some more questions. Don't be a stranger. I'll talk to each and every last one of you later, and from right now, I'm tagging out. Bye, guys.
You're a freak.